Ladies and gentlemen, we have a massive update in the cheating scandal here in late 2023 in the chess world, which features prominently Grandmaster and former world champion Vladimir Kramnik, originally also Hikaru Nakamura, beloved streamer, top 3 Grandmaster in the world. Now Chess.com is getting involved. And also this video is coming out on Christmas Eve here in America and Christmas in certain parts of the world. So Merry Christmas if you are celebrating, sending nothing but health and happiness to everybody, frankly, around the entire world. Also, we reopened the merch store for Christmas, so if you want to pick up a hoodie, you missed that, merch store is reopened until the end of the year. And I've got a Christmas little courses sale going on, but that's all out of the way first. Because we got to get into it. We really got to get into it. This is going to be a pretty wild update video. I'm going to talk a lot. As always, you are going to get a drama update on this channel if there is drama in the chess world, but I'm going to try to give you an unbiased, realistic take about the situation where I explain everything. That is sort of the motto, as much as everybody likes to make fun of the fact that, you know, chess drama does get featured quite frequently. Okay, number one, today, chess.com posted a statement that said, Grandmaster Vladimir Kramnik is one of the greatest chess players of all time, and we have enormous respect for him as a player. We met with Kramnik numerous times to discuss his fair play concerns. We established direct communication between him and our fair play team to provide an appropriate and expedient venue for discussion. Our team carefully investigated many dozens of players about which Kramnik raised suspicions. In the vast majority of the cases, we found his accusations baseless. Interesting point, by the way, already. Vast majority. They didn't say all the cases, which I don't know if that's just, you know, smart PR or what, but unfortunately, Kramnik has continued to make his accusations public using his profile and blog on chess.com. This not only violates chess.com terms of service, but also FIDE, the international governing body of the game, their code of conduct. Kramnik's escalating attacks against some of the most respected members of the chess community and some of its most promising young talents, interesting, can no longer be ignored. Consequently, we have now closed Kramnik's blog and muted his account. We have always and will always welcome thoughtful criticism and discussion, such as we have had with many top players for years, around the very real challenge of cheating in chess. Kramnik can still reach out to us privately through email, other communication platforms, to discuss his suspicions and concerns. That is a pretty big statement by chess.com. It's a pretty big decision. Kramnik is not banned. He's not banned on chess.com, but his blog is muted. All right, now I have a couple of his blog posts pulled up. We will go through them in a moment. Then we will talk about some of those young talents that were mentioned. We're also going to talk about Kramnik's response. We're going to talk about responses to this statement. It's going to be a big update video. This, of course, all stems from a couple of weeks ago when basically Vladimir Kramnik started posting about the fact that Hikaru Nakamura has had many statistical anomaly streaks on chess.com. And then Kramnik said in multiple subsequent posts that he had evidence to knock Hikaru out. And then he said that there was a major negative PR campaign going against him that was saying he was accusing Hikaru when he wasn't accusing Hikaru. He was just drawing more attention to the necessity of basically nobody being above the law in chess. And I already made many videos about this. So first of all, Jan Nepomniachtchi literally just responded. And this is, of course, the 2-time challenger to the World Chess Championship. And he said, yes, maybe Kramnik goes ahead and does not mince his words, but your platform cannot cope with cheating. As they say, accepting a problem is the first step to solving it. Try this instead of sanctioning one of the best players in history. Listen, this is a very strong statement. And then he elaborates on it further by responding to an individual in the chess world and says, you know, many of these players keep farming Title Tuesday as a part-time job. So the big issue here is that Jan Nepomniachtchi, who is pretty tongue-in-cheek with the way he speaks and the way he tweets, Jan is basically insinuating, and I don't think he's the only one, a lot of top chess players think a lot of other top, or let's say top 100 players in the world who are 2600 ELO are cheating online. And if they're cheating online in today's day and age with modern technology, there might be a chance that they begin cheating over the board as well. Like this is essentially the argument. That's the argument, I think. And I don't know if we're going to get to a place where we can confidently say or not say that something is going on, but this is just the beginning. I mean, if you look at the quote tweets on this thing, I don't know how to even do that. I guess I have to click on it, and then I gotta click on the tweet, and then man, they really messed up Twitter, man. So chess drama never stops. His account has been muted. Grandmaster Hare Krishna, listen, saying good decision, credit to him. You know, he's coming right out and saying something. Anish Giri tweeted some sort of a joke about it. He didn't really want to. I said, oh boy, that was my big insight. Levon Aronian said, somehow I feel that chess.com is becoming everything they claimed they weren't before the merger. I love Danny as a person, but the whole trend is making me sad. Levon is a very wise man. He says a lot of good things. He's very insightful, very smart, level-headed for the most part. In this particular instance, I disagree with this. I don't think the merger has anything to do with this decision. Also, the handbook that is mentioned, FIDE's Code of Conduct, like, the Code of Conduct says that false accusations are a serious violation, and it's an abuse of freedom of expression that is prohibited by the disciplinary code, which basically says players are members of their delegations but does not make unjustified accusations, right? Like, at the end of the day, cheating in chess is a very, very big problem, but approaching it, we have not figured out the right way to approach it, because right now it's just basically like passive-aggressive stuff on social media. Levon, on the other hand, you know, says, I love Danny as a person. The whole trend is, it's weird because Danny, it's not like Danny Wrench. This is very important. Danny Wrench is not sitting in a dark office somewhere deciding to mute Kramnik. Like, that's not what's happening here. At the end of the day, Kramnik is using a very public blog on a chess website to attack other people who chess.com themselves have proven, or not proven, but just straight up said are not cheating, right? Like, that is the situation. Now, I can understand the optics, that the service to the game, like, you know, chess belongs to the public, and this is not like, you know, it's not like chess.com is a website that sells shoes or goods. Like, it's not the same thing. So censoring a top player is like a bad optical look, but that's not really what's going on in this case. In any case, Kramnik responded, said, Dear chess fans, in accordance with my expectations, Chess.com platform took another step in trying to shut me up and unreasonably block my blog on their platform, the right to comment publicly about anything there. I did not receive any responses to my statistics publications, even to my complaints about direct threats from members. Right. Kramnik received haters in his messages that wrote really disgusting things, and I did mention that already. Extremely disrespectful attitude toward the former world champion, coupled with an unwillingness, etc., etc. I mean, it's just completely normal stuff. You can pause and read it. And then he said, I'm going to open a Facebook account, which I'll report in the next couple of days. Big, you know, again, because, like, this is not... Chess.com blog is not really the only place you can post about this stuff. Now, this is Kramnik's account. And I was actually unable to look at any of these blogs because they're muted. So I had to have staff screenshot them for me. So I had to go in, and I basically needed staff to screenshot the blogs from like a previous instance, which is quite interesting, because there was no other way to do that because it was muted. So this all kind of began, this was a while back. This is right around when the tournament in Toronto started, Champions Chess Tour, so I hadn't updated anything. And basically, Kramnik said, lately I see a lot of internet media resources discussing well-known story. Most of them are afraid to invite me or at least contact me and ask me questions. A lot of manipulations, direct lies in the dirty PR campaign. And he said he offered major chess YouTubers like myself, C-Squared, Chess Bra, which I thought was very funny because Bra has an H in it, invite me for a conversation on their channel where I promise to refute most of the arguments the opposite side use. So he did go on Chess Bra. Eric Hansen interviewed him yesterday, actually, for about 3 hours. And then Kramnik also went on Dojo Talks. I think he didn't call it Interviews Coming. He called it Interview with a Free Media Platform. It's just a YouTube channel. I mean, it's not like, this is like free media. I thought about this, and I might change my mind, but I basically made the decision that if I invited Vladimir to speak on this channel, which is the biggest chess YouTube channel that's publicly audited by you the viewer, I'm not sure we would uncover anything unique. Like, at the end of the day, this really just strikes me as a situation where Vladimir has an opinion about the methods used in the anti-cheat, the mathematics, the statistics, everything. Chess.com puts out a statement. Kramnik is not satisfied. So there is no addition that I can make. I mean, I can invite him for the views, and I can ask him some questions, but at the end of the day, just like you'll see, like in the Chessbro interview, we didn't really discover anything new. Vladimir basically just says a lot of people talk behind the scenes, like you saw, Я не помню. I think there is a very strong sentiment at top-level chess about people in the chess world. I think there's a lot of behind closed doors, private conversations that happen, a lot of suspicion of cheating, definitely online more than over the board, because it's a lot harder to do over the board. But if I invited Kramnik for a conversation, we wouldn't get anywhere, okay? Because he doesn't agree with the way chess.com does stuff, and probably historically, there is some accuracy to that for sure. Like, a player can go up the ranks for a long time and then at some point have one big event, like where he beats Magnus or Hikaru, and then he gets in trouble. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's just the reality. So I thought, like, look, I can invite Kramnik because I'm view hungry, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure there's going to be any productive conversation, because I'm going to ask him certain questions. He's going to give the same answers that he's given, and that's the reality. But he did do a couple of interviews, and then he started posting again. And this is where things got bad. This is where things got bad. So I appreciate your patience. This is where things got a little bit bad. I'm going to close out a couple of these tabs here. He said, I'm going to present a few posts, one by refuting the nonsense manipulation spread in vast amounts by different sources. Okay. He's going to point to blunders in the so-called research of the chess.com statement. As to the allegations about Hikaru's incredible performance, we've looked at the statistics. Our team has done the math in various simulations. We have found that not only is a 45-game winning streak possible, it's in fact likely. Okay. To calculate correct math probability of certain streaks, you must calculate precisely the total number of such streaks, average rating difference in each. To calculate math probability within a period of time, total amount of games played by a player, those streaks were performed, and take only games played with the same time control. Okay? It's obvious classical chess, rapid and 3 without increment, and bullet are very different in nature. How can this world's best anti-cheating system fail to understand that you can't mix it together when examining the streaks based solely in 3-minute games, which immediately decreases the amount of games by a good 40%. Funniest thing is, particularly in this research, doesn't even matter much. How can they, mathematicians publishing their discoveries, fail to understand that those winning streaks' probability fully depends on the total number of games played during this period and not altogether? Basically, Vladimir is saying that the way chess.com either calculated or talked about calculating something is inaccurate. They took the wrong amount of games. They took, again, just arguing, right? Like at the end, he's just saying that they didn't do it the right way. Okay, well, maybe he's right and maybe he's completely wrong, but if they do it the right way, will he admit that he's completely wrong? Will he admit there's not something good, So I can give you, imagine you must calculate the probability of Real Madrid scoring 3 goals in a match with Barcelona, right? So, he keeps saying, was it a joke? Will they keep the royal silence? Dear Danny and Eric, because even a basic school education is enough to understand how incompetent the explanation of this is. Do you understand that such statement can make people with developed critical thinking doubt about chess.com anti-cheating measures? After this, I feel I have even more rights demanding from the platform something which would at least remotely remind a proper anti-cheating examination. Crazy, right? Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. I'm reading this and I don't know what to think. This is one of the reasons I'm hesitant about the whole inviting Kramnik on, because I'm not ever sure we're gonna level. I'm not sure we're ever gonna get to a spot where he's just like, oh, I accept the methodology that is used by the Fair Play team. Okay, great. And I'm gonna stand down. We're in too deep. I mean, Vladimir himself, in multiple blog posts, said that he had a lot of mounting evidence against Hikaru. And then he's trying to, again, from the beginning, I have said, everybody respects Vladimir Kramnik's accomplishments in the chess world. Everybody. But once you start going down this path, in fact, some of the things that he said about Title Tuesday and everything like that in the past, about potential cheating in prize money events, we, for the most part, could understand and agree with. But once you start doing stuff like this, you're going to lose a little bit of that credibility. Now, this is where it got real bad. All right, and this is the major thing. If you have the attention span, you made it this far. He started posting about farming, and because there was a big discussion about farming people like 20 games in a row at a certain elo. So he started mentioning stuff about farming. We can potentially discuss and address and whatever, but this is, then he kept going. All you need to know about anti-cheating, major logical mistake, followed by the conclusion, it's an obvious logical fallacy, so mathematicians, what did you examine, etc., etc. But then, Kramnik started posting accounts. These are more screenshots. Kramnik started posting accounts. I will present another player today and continue with the frequency one a day after. One a day after. He's going to start posting one account on chess.com every single day. And he wants to talk about this guy. This guy is a 12-year-old boy from Turkey. Okay, he's top 10. He's 7-11 against Hikaru. Something haven't seen in chess history at this age. None of the future world champions at age 12 could compete on almost equal terms with the best world players. I find it hard to believe, but chess.com seems to have another opinion. Okay? Now, this is where it gets weird. This is where it gets uncomfortable. This is where it gets bad. Okay? Just like in the Hans Niemann situation, right? Once you start saying 12-year-old prodigies need to be investigated, one of two things is happening. Either you are completely incorrect and you have falsely accused a future star of the game, which happens actually pretty frequently in chess over the last 5 to 10 years. There are suspicions, as you can see from top players, about players all over the world, because the internet, in my opinion, has bridged that gap, the traditional gap, between how long it used to take a junior player to get really, really strong. Now kids can play online, playing tens of thousands of games all the time, right? Like, and it's very simple, blitz, bullet. So either you are just accusing a future prodigy and potentially discrediting them or hurting their career, or the young prodigy is a cheater, right? Like, again, it's binary. Like, in chess, you're either cheating or you're not cheating. Now, in this particular case with Erdogmus is his name, Yagis, Turkish kid, look at his statistics. I will show them to you. First of all, this young man plays very well against Hikaru. This is his FIDE page, by the way, adorable. 2,500, very strong in all-time controls. Born in 2011, by the way, completely nuts. And he just played a tournament in Sidgas where he got a GM norm. You can't see his results because the overlay is really ugly, and also I'm covering it. But look at his performance rating, 2608. So this young man gained 17 FIDE points and got a GM norm. That's his first GM norm, okay? This young man, who will probably be a grandmaster by the end of 2024. Like, that's who Kramnik posted about. Now, Kramnik could potentially find people that are more likely to be cheating, like chess.com obviously, and Hikaru himself obviously do not find Erdogmus suspicious, like, because Hikaru has made a video about this young man. And Turkey, by the way, you have a chess prodigy, celebrate. But this is wild. If Kramnik is going to just start posting one a day, that's really bad. But the argument here is it bad because cheating is an issue we don't talk about at all in chess, and like everything is kept silent, like the Hans Niemann thing. Remember, my friends, the Hans Niemann thing. Hans Niemann did an interview when all of that blew up, and Hans Niemann said, well, I did it twice online when I was a teenager in meaningless games. But no, but the thing is, like, that's the issue in the chess world, is that none of that stuff is publicized except in a little bubble. There's a little bubble of top-level chess players that for some reason, like, know and don't know all of this online stuff and all this online lore. This is a major problem in the chess world. Major problem. How about this? Do you remember a couple of months ago, there was a post, this was, Kramnik, this was on Reddit, and he was posting the average accuracy of players. And look at number one, Lazovic, right? The best player, this is Rapid Games Online. Denis Lazovic. Ferrugia, MVL, all these guys, Lazovic was here. And you start looking at these posts, and this is Lazovic, and you may remember, Denis Lazovic just played in the Champions Chess Tour Finals. And chess.com clearly does not think that Denis Lazovic is cheating. In fact, Danny Wrench asked Denis Lazovic about this in an interview. Like, Lazovic's legit. He's legit. He had a very different growth. His growth was primarily online, just like potentially that young Turkish kid, etc., etc. So this is the real issue. Like, the real issue is it's multi-layered. Cheating in chess is 100% an issue. And I firmly believe that if a very strong grandmaster ranked 70th in the world, or let's say 40th in the world, cheats a tiny bit in prize money events, it's almost impossible to catch. But somebody told me something recently that made me reconsider. They made me reconsider something. They said, that person that I'm describing will cheat, and they will get away with it a couple of times, for sure. But which cheaters don't get away with it multiple times, and which cheaters stop when they successfully cheat? That was interesting. That made me reconsider a lot. Because I was sitting there for a long time, even in these videos, going, cheating is a problem in chess. If a top player masks their cheating intelligently, they're never going to get caught. Yes, if it's done in a tiny sample size. But if somebody is a successful cheater, they're probably going to cheat again. That made me reconsider. That made me go, you know what? That's true. Any athlete, anybody in any walk of life, right? If you cheat in a competition and you get away with it, you're not just going to stop. Right? Like, that's the truth. I mean, for the most part, some do until you get punished. If you get punished, you get 2-year ban, whatever, in sports, then you might stop. But until you get in trouble, it's very difficult to just stop because you see this. And that made me think, you know what? Maybe it just requires a little bit of time. But as you can see from Nepomniachtchi and a lot of other players that will not speak out publicly, I think cheating is a very, very serious threat to chess, particularly if it can move from online to over the board. If people start figuring out a way to get around anti-cheating measures, I mean, I don't even know what to say. The anti-cheating devices used in Toronto at the Chess.com Global Championship cost $40,000 to $50,000. Chess tournaments don't have that type of money. Chess tournaments don't even have enough staff, okay, to pay a daily wage. Preventing over-the-board cheating in chess outside of like the top 5 tournaments in the world is basically impossible. That's basically impossible, and that is the real problem. Now, does chess.com need to start communicating with FIDE? I don't know. And one last inconsistency in all of this, this statement says the violation of the FIDE Code of Conduct, right? I just showed you false accusation and the FIDE handbook right here. However, it was determined in the case of Magnus and Hans that I don't really know what was determined in that case, with Magnus withdrawing and then there not being enough evidence technically in that Sinkfield Cup game, the historic one, right? Magnus was fined 10,000 euros. That was the punishment. He was not suspended because I guess they were like, well, Hans has this online history, so... And that's the truth. I think we're living in a reality in the chess world where nobody's going to get in trouble for basically saying anything about anybody else. I don't know how on earth they're going to enforce this. Because if you look at what Kramnik is doing right now, yes, he is bringing to the forefront that people could potentially be cheating online. And he might even be right. He might even be correct. If Kramnik brings us 10 names, 2 are cheating and 8 are not, like, right? But even if it's 50-50, like even if it's 50-50, 5 people and then 5 people he accuses incorrectly. Is that something we're worth living with? Like, you gotta put people who are guilty in a guilty situation, but you need to do it with like 99.99% certainty. That is chess.com's job. You can't have 10 people and you go, I think they're all cheaters, but 5 of them turn out to not be, and 5, well, right? So that's the real issue here. I don't think anybody's gonna be getting in trouble for any of this. In the U.S. Chess Federation, there was some case in Florida recently where for false cheating accusations, somebody was suspended 2 years. That's never happening. Nobody is going to punish Kramnik. Nobody's going to punish Magnus. They might punish like a 2,500 level grandmaster. That's the truth. I'm telling you the truth. That's what I think. If a 900th ranked player in the world accuses somebody and nobody's ever heard of them, like they're going to get in trouble. These top, no, they're not going to get in trouble. for the most part. That's just how it is. And again, it's a very messy situation because on the one hand, I completely agree that this is an issue. I completely agree that the integrity of online tournaments and potentially over-the-board tournaments could be in a crisis if we don't find a way to figure this out. On the other hand, this is a wild situation. It's a wild situation. Kramnik can't post on chess.com anymore for violating codes of terms of service and potentially code of conduct. And Kramnik's not even totally wrong in his like entire big picture about cheating. I think he's just approached it the wrong way. But if you ask me what the right way is, I'm not, to be honest, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Because in chess, we have chess.com, we have FIDE, we have Lichess. Like, we just have massive entities that kind of don't really communicate. And if somebody gets banned, they can play somewhere else. And so that's the situation. Merry Christmas. So we'll see what happens from here. Until then, get out of here.